the well-known journalist, commentator, and activist Arab Barghouti, who joins us on the Mother of All talk shows. It's an honor for you to be here, Arab. First of all, your summary of events over the last couple of weeks, if you will.
Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me. I think to get into it, we're witnessing genocide live streamed on TV. War crimes are being taped every single day. And unfortunately, they are being sponsored and given the green light by the Western governments, such as the US, who wants to keep making the same mistakes again and again and again and getting into wars in the Middle East and doing the harms that they've been doing for decades in the Middle East. The UK, that unfortunately has given Palestine to the Zionist movement more than 100 years ago. And then in 1948, they supported the slaughter and genocide and ethnic cleansing of the Palestinian people. Or the EU, especially when we talk about France and Germany and these countries that claim the freedom of speech. And now we see how they arrest people and kidnap them just for wearing al-kufiyya and wearing having the Palestinian flag, the double standards that they have with Ukraine versus Palestine. And this triggers many emotions for us because the West has always claimed to have the high values of freedom of speech, of independence, and all of that. But when it comes to Israel, it seems like all of this disappears, and it seems like the international law does not mean anything. Up until now, we lost about 4,800 martyrs in Gaza, on which 2/3 of them are women and children, like literal children, are being slaughtered in front of our eyes. And to look at the big picture, in my opinion, this is a real attempt to end and kill the Palestinian cause overall. Because if you really think about it, after 75 years of oppression, of occupation, brutal occupation, of apartheid regime, of arresting people, demolishing houses, killing people, ethnically cleansing, genocide, all that we're going through for 75 years, not since October 7th, like some people seem to think. And with all that, we still have in historical Palestine, we still have 7 million Palestinians that are resilient, that are staying in Palestine with all of that, and 7 million Jews, Israeli Jews at the same time. And I truly think this is representing a huge problem for Israel. So unfortunately, Israel is taking this chance and taking this and looking at this as an opportunity to ethnically cleanse and displace millions of Palestinian people to continue with their original Zionist project of controlling the whole land from the river to the sea. But I don't think that they expected to be faced with people like us, with people like the people that we see in Gaza. After all the killings, the thousands of losses, the homes, the buildings, everything, they're still literally protesting and supporting resistance with all of that, sending a message to the world that they would rather die in this land rather than to go away and go to another country. And what's very interesting to me is that I already see debates from American politicians, from European politicians, whether they should take Palestinians as refugees or not. I mean, how rude can you be to even discuss that? Because we're not leaving. And these people in Gaza, 70% of them are already refugees. So they are the grandchildren of the people that got displaced in 1948. So are they crazy? Do they think that we're going to be displaced again? Of course, we're going to fight back, and we're going to resist, and we're going to stay in our land no matter what.
Why do you think Netanyahu hasn't yet begun his ground invasion of Gaza? And do you believe he actually will? Because every one of those demolished houses will be turned into a firefight. They can't fight house to house, but they'll fight from the rubble of each house to house. The military conquest of Gaza, where there will still be 2.2 million civilians there, and there will be resistance behind every piece of rubble. Do you think he will do it?
Well, I think that the reason why they are bombing Gaza is that the Israeli government has always had a very clear message that they want to send us as Palestinians, and they want to send the word, which is the fact that your life is less worthy than the Israelis. And this is exactly why they are trying to send us a message that if you kill 1,000 of us, we're going to kill 10,000, we're going to kill 15,000. If you take one soldier, our soldier is worth 1,000 soldiers 1,000 prisoners of yours. So I truly think that the message is clear and has been clear. It's an apartheid regime, so you're not going to be shocked when you hear these facts of how they think and their mentality. Now, when it comes to the ground invasion, I don't think that Israel is willing to sacrifice that. We're hoping for that not to happen. I really don't know if they're going to be that crazy and to go into Gaza on ground, because that's going to be a massacre for the civilians. And what we care about right now is the ceasefire, just for the safety of the civilians, just for the safety of the women and children and elderly people that Israel practices its biggest hobby in the world, which is slaughtering children and women. And what's interesting is that now they make it seem as if it's shocking to them to commit these crimes, as if they didn't do them all along. And I think if you go into Israel's history, you're going to see all these massacres already committed. So honestly, as Palestinians, we're just praying for the Palestinian people in Gaza to be safe. And then of course, we're going to keep asking for the end of the occupation, because they think that we're going to be satisfied with peace. We're going to be satisfied with keep your mouth shut, be grateful with what you got, but we're never going to be satisfied with that. We want independence and end of the occupation. It's a very clear and simple message.
How is your father? How is his spirit?
Well, unfortunately, like many others in Israeli prisons, we couldn't get hold of him since October 7th. Neither the lawyer has been able to see him, and this goes, of course, under the collective punishment rule that Netanyahu claimed a few months ago that they don't use it, which is illegal by international law. And I always say it when we talk about Israel, the word illegal by international law keeps popping up, because I think that's their slogan. They don't care about the international law. Everything they do, the occupation, the apartheid, the checkpoints, everything they do is against the international law, kidnapping people. And talking about prisoners, everyone made a very, very big deal about the 200 to 300 hostages or prisoners that the resistance captured from Israel. But no one is talking about the historical facts that in Palestine, we have, since 1967, more than 1 million people, 25% of the population of the West Bank and Gaza have been imprisoned. And one of them is my father, who is spending his 22nd year in prison, and his cousin, who is spending his 44th year in prison, one of the longest in modern history. And his other cousin, who spent 33 years, and then when he was released, he left his son in there, just to send the message that this trauma keeps moving with us generation after generation. And we have, the conviction rate against Palestinians, if you go to court, is 99.7%. So that's all happened before October 7th. And after October 7th, 5,000 Palestinians have been arrested from Gaza and the West Bank. And no one is even speaking about them. And most of them, they go into administrative detention, which is basically going to prison without trial, without any, going to court or anything, which is again illegal by the international law, and they just keep them in prison. And to go back to my father's question, I always say that whenever I go see my father, which is very rare, every few years they allow me to go see him, I always prepare myself to give him strength, to give him, all the positive energy. But I always go there, and he's the one who gives me that. He's the one who gives me, and the many people that he sees when the families come and see him. That's who he is. So we're never afraid that he's down or anything like that, because he's always trusted and had blind belief in the Palestinian people and the Palestinian resistance, that we're going to get over anything. And the Israeli project will never succeed, because we are on the right side of history. And he's always told me, when you're on the right side of history, you're always going to be comfortable, no matter what.
Please give him and your mother, for that matter, with whom I've spoken many times, my warmest salam and greetings, and those of the vast audience of the mother of all talk shows. Arab Barghouti, thanks for joining us.